Hey, all right. Good morning. Good morning. Hope everyone's feeling well. It is 6:32. It is May 28th. It is Nvidia Day. Um, Here we are. I'm sorry that I wasn't here yesterday, but Red Dog's not going to be here every day. I know I've been here pretty much consistently 99% of the time, Monday through Thursday since 2025. So you like to get the content, you like to get the feel of the day, what's the key of the day, where we can make money for the day, and I've been doing it for a while. Been actually doing it for 30 years, but the 6:30 Club's been going since 2020. But if I'm not here, you have to figure out how to do it yourself. And at some point, the 6:30 Club might be gone come September. So what you want to do is you want to make sure to subscribe to the Red Dog Mindset. But anyway, feels good to be back in the saddle. Just did my nice little workout, 20 minutes with my dogs from around the world, and now here we are going to go over the charts and see what's going on. You look here real quickly at the spies, and definitely wasn't that easy. I think it was almost easier for me because I left on Thursday for Friday, went to the Bahamas with a bunch of families for the weekend, which was awesome. You got to get away sometimes. And I was getting on the plane and I was trimming into some of the strength, and then all of a sudden I landed. It was like 10 to 10, and I was like, "What the hell happened here?" And then I saw the Trump news with the EU tariffs, and the beauty of being away from your desk. Then it was 10 o'clock. I put some stops in below the low of the day, added to a few things, and instead of being stopped out during the volatility, I wound up holding through, and then the news came out over the weekend that he was putting it off, and we were up 60, 70 handles. So it was a good way to be off the desk and have a little less complications. I bet you if I was sitting here, it would have been a lot more complicated considering things wound up going, a lot lower. But anyway, here we are. All in all, from the low to the W bottom to the trend. What do we do here? You came in, we retested. I remember I said on this day, I'm like, we probably test at least the gap from Geneva. So we went as low as 575, and then yesterday as high as 591, building an upper channel, an upper flag, whatever you want to call it. I don't know why this print is here. I think the low that came in yesterday was somewhere around 584-ish. I think today will probably be a digestion type day, and then I would kind of think that that I guess we'll see what happens with Nvidia. To me, Nvidia has been in a range for a year and a half. The reports have been strong, maybe not strong enough to break it out after the multi percentage move it's had over the past decade. But I think at this point now, if they come in pretty strong, it reacts well. But we'll get to that. So this is what the spies look like. Nice digestion, and we'll see if today we digest, and then tomorrow, based on how Nvidia reacts, we'll see what happens. Obviously, it's going to affect the Qs also. The Qs right here, I had a big move, almost back towards that 522.53. I would think out of all the indices, it looks like the Qs, is going to maybe make a new high first. Seems like it's on its way. A lot of participation in a lot of the names. Even the IWM looks a little bit better. But anyway, Amazon, nice little move here. We made a really nice trade into the 250. It got a little crazy in here, but then I did situate on Thursday. Me and my friend Adam Mesh went over and did a power plays presentation for a pretty low, low impact, like a great product, but it's very cheap. But anyway, so one of the plays we put on was Amazon for that, and I'm also in the shares. That's looking pretty good. I think it works back towards 215. I would be buying it on weakness. Google, if you remember, we had a really big option play. In here they tried to sell that AI event, and they had to push to 176, and now it looks like it doesn't look great. It's acting better. So you can't buy on strength. So I'm still just trying to buy on the dip. I bought some yesterday, sold some. I'm trying to stick with Google, to see if it starts acting better. It's acting a bit better. Tesla's been really good. TSLL is what a lot of our guys have been playing. Besides Tesla, you could really get a lot of size in this thing, and it's been working as it works higher. I talked about 350 in Tesla before leaving, and then here you go. Remember this little cup and handle we were looking at? Here's your cup, here's your handle. on its way to 367 to 373. That looks like it's on its way. What's it doing this morning? It's up $1.20. It's pretty cool. That's it's at 364. This high here yesterday is 363.79. Some people are like, Red Dog, but the car business is slowing down in Europe. The car business is slowing down in China. I'm like, you know what? They're looking ahead at the autonomous driving. They're looking ahead at robo-taxis, looking ahead at robotics, whatever they're doing. To me, I don't overthink it. I just like the price action. It's leading the way. It's been working pretty well. So, this is your next spot. It could even go a little bit higher than that, but we'll see. All in all, held the 8-day. The 8-day moving average is is something that I follow really closely. So that's been working. Palantir, that didn't have a great day yesterday. But I felt like it wasn't really about that sector. But it still looks really good. Look at this nice little bull flag up here. I don't have any on. I'll have to readjust. So it's not like I missed anything here yesterday. So that looks pretty good. On the flip side, on the little ones, so this WRD, to me, it feels like there's still a lot of money trying to contain this thing. But overall, this thing was 44. They're rolling out WeDrive in China, in Saudi Arabia. Like this, they have a buyback. There's no more money raises. Like this thing, I feel like is gonna be, $15. Whether it's this week or next week, it's got to get above and stay above this 11. What was yesterday's high? This is 11.20. If that were the case, I would think, it could open the door really sooner than later. So, this is one of the little ones that I'm in. I'm in RR. Look at that candle yesterday. So, you're also, besides like your Amazons, your Googles, your Teslas, and you're getting these one-off moves that if you do your homework and you watch and you follow the money, there's some good action out there. That one's really good. Nvidia is going to report. So listen. So what have I been doing in Nvidia? First of all, if you remember, we made a lot of money with Nvidia right here. Like this was awesome. This 115 spot, we were in 116 calls, and then 120 calls, and then in the stock. It looks like it had a big move. This is what everyone will talk about. But if you zoom out, like really, what has Nvidia done? Like Nvidia hasn't. Nvidia was higher in June of 2000. So 1 year ago, Nvidia was higher. 4 quarters ago, after all of the super earnings that they've had. So Nvidia really hasn't done a whole hell of a lot. I would love for them to, have a strong report, and all of a sudden be back in the 150s. I've been buying the 140 calls. Recently I don't like to take options into earnings just because they've been a pain. There's volatility so high, and they've been going after. But I do feel like this one could work, so I'm taking some, and we'll see how it goes. I'm in the 140s, and I also bought it on weakness here. So we'll see if we get a little pre-earnings move. This high here is what, 137.40. So in order to get to 140 or 143, it's got to get above 137.40, first. And we'll see. I would give this a high percentage play. Let me see what some of my dogs are saying. What do we got here? Okay, we got Joey A says Oklo is doing great. Yeah, well, the nuclear Oklo, you mean? Wow, what a move in the nuclear names. It's funny. I started to get back involved here right when there was a little predatory, and then it turned into a huge move. See, so look at all these different type of sectors we're talking about. There's so many people who would rather focus on the end of the world. They'd rather focus on the dysfunction in Washington. They'd rather focus on Trump and his banter. They'd rather focus on all of the things that's not going to make you money. You want to focus on things making you money. You want to be in the Mag 7 names. You want to be in some semis. You want to be in some nuclear names. You want to have your mindset in the right spot. Nvidia has a stake in CRWV. Okay. CRWV had a huge move. Hold on. It's been absolutely crazy. Not crazy, but nice. So maybe that'll be in their earnings, and that would be good for it. We'll see. It was high as what, 125.02. I listed this back at $64. What did I just say that was? 125.02. What a move. A lot of people are fighting this thing too short. It's just not worth it. The trend is up. It's real strong. First move was here at 47 buy, then at 64. It's been above the 8 days since, making higher highs. A lot of people said it was over right here and then didn't adjust. Thoughts on ASTS? I think it's just a pain. It's in a range. It's not ready yet. The last report they announced, whatever it's called, an ATM, so they have to be going through it. So, ASTS probably, it needs to ignite. It needs to have some kind of big deal with some big provider. It needs to, it's a futuristic type of company that a lot of people like. If you think about it overall, though, from where it came from, right, to 39, it's still being accumulated. So I think at some point it's going to go. I just don't know when. And I've lost a bunch of money trying to play options, and it just hasn't worked. At some point it's going to go, and I would think it could be 50 plus, but it can't be your hyper focus. It can be one of your 10 positions, but if you're just trading ASTS every day, you're probably knocking your head against the wall. What about Bull? Bull I actually added to yesterday. There are some people that really, really love this. They love the platform. They love trading on it. But there's also it feels like it's being held back. Finally, it kind of woke up a little bit. The earnings report actually was pretty solid, but I guess it reported on a bad day. So I'm in some, and it's not a hyper focus. I would think you can get to 1870. I would think some volume has to go in. I had some options that didn't work. I'm back in some stock because, there's no more binary event. So I think I'd like to continue to watch it. So when I see it, I could really go after this. So I think it's pretty good. Yeah, APP is really good. Look at that. It's where are all those people had the short report on it? But so there's a lot of like bull type flags out there that are trying to continue to the upside. So some people are still in from this gap and never got stopped out, and there's definitely some room there. So Apple Evan's good. There's a lot of good things going on. So once again, focus on the setups, use your tier system, follow the money. Gold made a huge move. Even like for what's the matter with gold? I'm like, gold had a huge move and then kind of went through a consolidation phase. Remember we called like a top in gold and made money there? I haven't really looked at it since. But overall, after a big move, all gold is doing, is it held the 50-day. And now it's like, going through a high-level consolidation. Well, when that happened, money went into Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's had a great move. Now I hear a lot of talk about Ethereum. They're like, Red Dog, you got to be in Ethereum. You got to start charting Ethereum. You did great with IBIT. If you remember, I was all over this. In here again, it was, first of all, remember the whole turkey trot and all that stuff. But this is when I really started to hyper focus on it again. We did really well there. We did well in GME. So I guess I got to start looking at Ethereum a little bit more. Is Dash ready to break out? Dash had a convertible. So they're working through that the same way Uber had to. I like Dash. I'm in Dash. It just did a money raise, so it's got to figure that out a little bit. I think in time, it's going to get above this 210 and 215. Just not sure exactly what day. I continue to buy dips. You can go out and buy a few extra calls or so. All right, guys, it's 6:46. It's Wednesday. I will be here today. I'll be here tomorrow. Back in the saddle. I have a bunch of things to continue to. This is the Alpha team. The Alpha team has been here without me for a bunch of days, surviving. But they get to see the way I adjust my positions. I'm coming in with some Amazon, some Dash, some IBIT, some RRR, some TSL, some Bull, some Google, some Nvidia, some Rumble. I think Rumble is going to start going with some WRD, Amazon calls, ASTS, shorted some premium yesterday. I'm, gotta really be in rhythm with what's happening and buy, sell, hold, know your levels, and not, get all crazy based on, what people in social media are saying out there. How is the Bahamas? Oh, the Bahamas is good. Thanks for saying. I went to the Atlantis with a bunch of families and my best friend from growing up. Chase had a great time. He just finished his AAU season, so it was good to get away. Got to get away a little bit. And then I went to Miami for a huge event with Vicarious and Carrie, and did a little Red Dog mindset out there. A lot of high stress careers out there, just like trading. Need to have the right mindset. Need to develop their go time. Need to have their rinse and repeat. They're coming out with this whole thing called the reset. How to reset your day, how to reset your mind, all the things that I've been doing for a long time. Every day you've been following me on Twitter. First thing I post at 4:45 is rise and grind, right? You got to rise and grind and face the day and face it in a way that makes you feel empowered, where you're thinking clearly and you can execute with confidence so you can make money. It could be anywhere and anything. So with that said, gotta continue to do some interesting things. Otherwise, things get a little stale. All right, guys, I'll see you a little bit later.